Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy. For today's video, we got a video about hoops reference, guys, every NBA team's biggest weakness of the 2020 season for the Western Conference. So we checked out the Eastern Conference the other day, so naturally, man, we gotta check out the other one. So yeah, let me know if you are a fan of a Western Conference team. What is your biggest regret of the season? Or do you have zero regrets, guys? Zero regrets, man. Just forward thinking. Here we go. Also, man, if you are new, hit that subscribe button, guys. So close to 100K, guys. So damn close.
If you haven't watched my last video, make sure to do so after you watch this one, because they are essentially the same topic, just separated into two parts. This mini-series I'm now concluding, for those of you that are new, is featuring me going through every single team in the NBA and identifying what the one thing they've done as an organization is that they regret the most. No team is perfect. Every player, coach, and member of the front office. I'm
curious what he's going to be for the Clippers.
And sometimes the impact that they make can do a lot
Maybe
of
load management, I guess? Too much load?
Not every regret has a massive impact.
Trading Shea?
Obviously,
no.
Some teams have made bigger mistakes than others, but no team is perfect by any means. The last video was about the Eastern Conference, so obviously this video will feature the teams in the Western Conference. Before we start, though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Hey, man, go check out his channel, guys. Link in the description below.
Now, with that being said, let's begin. Once again,
not adding a
alphabetical
playmaker,
order by city, the first team up is the Dallas Mavericks, and their biggest regret of the year is not acquiring a shot creator to take some pressure off of Luka Doncic. The Mavericks have taken some massive strides this year as a team, and are very much ahead of schedule when it comes to the timeline they're on to compete for something legit. Luka Doncic looks every bit like a future superstar if he isn't one already. Kristaps Porzingis,
you ain't pulling off a double team though to go for Tim Hardaway though.
Historically great. With all of that being said, though, a lot is on Luka's shoulders to create not only for himself, but those around him as well. He has a lot of good shooters around him, and guys like Jalen Brunson and Delon Wright are solid ball-handling options, but there really isn't another player on the team that creates offense for himself at a high level that can take the ball out of Luka's hands and give him a break, which could come into play later into the postseason. The next team up is the Denver Nuggets.
Yo, damn, shots fired at Murray.
Regret is with
I like Murray. His girlfriend really likes Murray. But no, I'm sorry. Okay, every single time I talk about Jamal Murray now, I always gotta bring that up, man. But no, straight up when it comes to Jamal Murray, he's one of those guys that I don't think is quite worth the max contract, but you have to give him the max contract to keep him on the team. And I hate situations like that, but hey, that's what leverage is.
Without hesitation, giving Jamal Murray a full $170 million max contract. Now, before I say anything else, Murray is definitely a highly talented young player that has shown flashes of potential greatness as a combo guard that can knock down
he's got great D
and create off the dribble, but his consistency still isn't quite there.
D.
He isn't necessarily even all-star caliber yet, and for a team that wants to contend in a tough Western Conference, they have a lot of money tied up into their core that may or may not be enough to overcome the teams at the top of the league. Especially because he's playing in the West, he might struggle to break through into all-star status his entire career, because the talent is that good above him.
Yeah, it could be like Mike Conley.
He hasn't shown enough to warrant belief that he can be better quite yet. Paying him good money is fine, but the max is what's questionable about it. Next up is the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, wow.
And their biggest regret was trading D'Angelo Russell for Andrew Wiggins. When Kevin Durant chose to leave the team last summer,
I am forgetting the trade. Was it... Did they get somebody else? Or did they... I think they got a protected draft pick or something, right? Because why the hell would they give D'Lo for just Andrew Wiggins? I don't remember the trade.
He at least did so in a team-friendly way where he agreed to a sign and trade for young star D'Angelo Russell in return. Sure, his skill set seemed repetitive alongside Steph Curry, but when Curry went down with an injury very early in the year, it opened up an opportunity for Russell to flourish. He may not have been named an all-star like he was the previous year, but he was arguably having his best season as a pro.
Just as good.
And in the NBA, you can never have too many playmakers. By shipping him off for Andrew Wiggins, the team took a huge gamble that, in my opinion, will not work out for them. Wiggins has always represented the exact opposite of everything the team values, and while many see him as a potential trade chip, I don't really think his value is as high as...
Yeah, D'Lo would have been a better trade chip next season.
Next up is the Houston Rockets, and their biggest regret is extending Eric Gordon in the summer. The Rockets are the only team that came close.
I think their biggest regret is relying too much on the small ball. Like, they just went like all in with it. And I think they should have gave a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein, a chance on the court and stuff. I mean, the guys showed some pretty good skill sets out there, but they wanted to go straight up small ball, so we'll see how it does in the playoffs.
To beating the Warriors dynasty at full strength, but haven't been able to get over the hump. They so desperately want to take the next step, but money is as tight as ever right now, and Eric Gordon being set to make $19 million in 2023,
or even trading Clint Capella,
considering
he had a good
he's having
contract.
The worst year of his career at the moment. He's a very frustrating player to watch because he absolutely is capable of big-time performances, but more often than not, his inconsistency is negative.
Looks like mine.
He literally scored 50 points in a game this year, and the very next game, he scored 8 points and shot 2 of 10 from the field. That's the Eric Gordon experience in a nutshell, and the Rockets' title window
How do they play at the lights like that? All flashing
because
and
of
shit.
the money tied up in players like him. Next up is the Los Angeles Clippers, and their biggest regret is signing Rodney McGruder.
You know you are in a good place as a team if your biggest regret is signing Rodney McGruder.
Again, the Clippers really haven't made many mistakes, so I had to nitpick a little bit, but considering he's making $5 million to play just the 12th most minutes on the team and essentially be out of the team's rotation, just seems like a waste of money. And with championship caliber teams, everything needs to be perfect for them to reach their goals. The road through the West is going to be tough, and the Clippers definitely do have plenty of weapons at their disposal, but had they spent that $5 million better, they would be even more dangerous. Up next is the Los Angeles Lakers,
Rondo
and
sucks.
their biggest regret is re-signing
He has fallen off
Rondo.
so much.
Rondo is a respected veteran player in the league who at his peak was one of the best playmakers the league had to offer, but it's been years since he's been at that point, and now he's not much more than a detriment to the Lakers lineups that he's a part of. He and LeBron just do not mesh well together at all on the court. The team, more often than not,
doesn't even play defense anymore, just doesn't care.
And
he's just there trying to win a ring.
It's a struggle nowadays. Sure, he brings veteran leadership and is probably a good player to have around the locker room, but because of his status, he's going to continue getting minutes, and that could hurt the Lakers in the long run.
What I've heard.
Up next is the Memphis Grizzlies, and their biggest regret is trading for Gorgui Dieng.
Yeah, bitch-ass contract.
The highest paid player on the Grizzlies, you would probably guess someone like Ja Morant, who was guaranteed a nice paycheck for being selected second overall, or Jonas Valanciunas, who just signed a nice deal not too long ago and actually plays up to the money. But
what's
it's actually
Grayson
none
Allen
other than
doing?
Gorgui
Tripping people?
Dieng, a 30-year-old mediocre backup center. The Grizzlies are arguably the most pleasant surprise of the year, already competing for a playoff spot despite being labeled by
Anderson has a crappy contract also
before the season started. But for a team that already has big aspirations, the money management needs to be better. They took on Dieng's contract in a trade in February, and he's set to once again be the highest paid player on the team next season as well. Next up is the Minnesota Timberwolves, and their biggest regret is not being able to sign
they could have kept Wiggins
in free agency.
Or traded him for more stuff.
Things ultimately played out in a way where he ended up on the team anyway, but they really wanted him in free agency, and had they been able to lock up a deal back then, they still would have Andrew Wiggins, who could have been used to trade for other assets instead of Russell himself. The team desperately needs some defensive additions, and Wiggins could have been the piece used to add them, but now they're going to have to explore other options. Next up is the
salary cap wise, I think it kind of helps them.
Their biggest regret is rushing the rebuild. Without Zion Williamson playing, the team didn't really have a whole lot going for them, and now even with a chance to sneak into the playoffs when play resumes,
maybe makes
it
team
still
wise.
feels like they rushed things. If they do end up missing the playoffs, then adding a guy like Derek Favors to man the middle will only end up hampering the growth of a young player like Jackson Hayes, and paying $26 million for a shooter like JJ Redick would have been a waste. The core of Zion, Lonzo Ball, and Brandon Ingram have a very bright future together.
They need to get Miles Turner.
This year shouldn't have been the year
Elite
that they
moves.
went all in on decent veterans. Up next is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and their biggest regret is trading down in the draft. On draft day, the biggest steal in the class, Brandon Clark, slid all the way down to pick number 21.
Unbelievable.
And none other than Oklahoma City owned that pick. However, instead of using that pick to take Clark, they traded it to move 2 spots down in the draft.
Damn, he would have been perfect with Shea.
Ended up getting Clark at 21, while the Thunder got Darius Bazley at number 23. Bazley is still very young, and he very well could prove to be a solid player down the line, but Clark is having one of the most productive and efficient rookie seasons of the year, and on the Thunder, who are surprising a lot of people with how good they've been, he could have been a key bench piece for them. Next up is the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Their biggest regret
TJ, why did this... I don't know why the Suns did this. TJ Warren's such a good player when
Trading
healthy.
TJ Warren.
I don't know why.
The way the Suns have managed their team over the last 5 years or so is, to put it lightly, not very good. Devin Booker grows more and more frustrated with the lack of talent around him by the year, and the playoffs still
It's like
seem
Crispy
so
doing a
far
rebuild.
off.
Questionable.
Looking back, the TJ Warren trade was literally as lopsided as a trade can possibly be, as the Suns traded him and a second-round pick in return for nothing more than cash considerations.
Why would you toss
Warren
in
is now the leading
a
scorer
pick
for a
for
playoff
cash?
team in the Pacers, and the Suns are once again near the bottom of the standings. When you don't have a lot of talent on your team, but you want to win, you need to hold on to the little talent that you do have. But instead,
Yeah, he's
the
only
Suns value
26.
cash considerations instead of a legitimate bucket getter.
I'll take cash
Up
nasty over
next
cash
is the
considerations.
Portland Trailblazers, and their biggest regret is getting rid of all of their perimeter defense this summer. I was scratching my head at the moves they made this summer at the time, and now it looks so much worse. The Blazers made it all the way to the conference finals last year.
I forgot who they even got rid of.
Players like Mo Harkless and Al-Farouq Aminu
Oh,
weren't
yeah, okay.
necessary moving forward. Losing these players wouldn't have been that bad if they made new signings that were capable defenders, but their replacements were Mario Hezonja, an out-of-his-prime Carmelo Anthony, and a washed Trevor Ariza, all of which struggle
Yeah,
on
Ariza's
defense
been
now.
washed for a few
Because of
years,
this,
seems like.
They have fallen harder than anyone this year, and their defense is bottom third in the league. Next up is the Sacramento Kings, and their biggest regret is paying Harrison.
Man did not deserve another big
Barnes signed
contract.
his contract.
How the
and
hell did he get it?
immediately started having one of his worst seasons in a while. The Kings were finally starting to make
He's not
things
even that
look
good.
like they were going up after being known as a dysfunctional franchise for a long time. But then they just couldn't help themselves by shooting themselves in the foot here. Barnes is by no means a bad player, but he
Right, so that's why I think about it. Like he's fine. He's not that good. He's not that bad. But he keeps on getting these paydays like he's done something, man. Like, yeah, you was on the Warriors that dominated and stuff, but, you know, you were like a piece of the puzzle. You weren't the whole damn,
He
thing
also
out
isn't
there.
good enough to be the highest paid player on a team. And with De'Aaron Fox
Could put
and
Jones
Marvin
Strepko in
Bagley
your spot,
due
and that
for
team still
paydays
would've
coming
succeeded.
up, the team's
I think
money
he was actually on the
constraints
team, wasn't he?
will come back to
Bench
bite
player.
them. I really have been a fan of a lot of the improvements the Kings have made over the last few years, but this mistake could hold them back from finally getting over the playoff hump if they don't find a way to trade him. Next up is the San Antonio Spurs, and their biggest regret of the season is
6'10"
trading
Curry right
Davis
here.
Bertans. Now, I do completely understand that they got screwed over by Marcus Morris going back on his word after agreeing in principle to sign with them, so the Bertans trade was made solely for the purpose
Kinda looks like
of
Troy
signing
Dan.
Morris
Like they could be
later.
related.
But then Morris backed out of his deal, and without either Morris or Bertans, they got left in a bad spot. Ultimately, being so willing to trade one of the best shooters in the league for the chance at a slight upgrade cost them, and now their playoff streak seems to be all but over. And finally, the last team up is the Utah Jazz. And
Looking at you,
their
Rudy.
biggest regret of the year is not having
Looking
their
at you,
players
Rudy.
take the COVID pandemic more seriously. Rudy Gobert infamously got diagnosed with the illness shortly after he concluded a press conference by mocking the seriousness of the situation. And after that, it got discovered that he actually infected teammate Donovan Mitchell as well. Now their
Damn shame.
relationship is reportedly down the drain. Chemistry issues could presume when the game starts back up.
I guess just to get like another one towards the Utah Jazz, if you want to keep it basketball, 100% basketball related. Mike Conley hasn't been great, so maybe not trading. What was it? A trade? Yeah, I think they traded for him or whatever. But I guess they didn't need to do that now in hindsight. But no, Rudy Gobert being a dumbass, bro. But yeah, guys, that's the end of the video right there. Would y'all agree or disagree? I agree with these for the most part. Think it's a very good list. Thank y'all so much for watching. Peace out, my friends.